Good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you are. It's Matt Coleman, your host from Magnify World. As you're aware, over the coming weeks, we're profiling 50 of the most interesting executives and companies in the emerging technology space. I'm speaking from our Los Angeles studio, and we've got a very special guest in Bogota, Colombia, Rosario Casas, who's the founder and CEO of XR Americas. How are you?
Hi, Matt. Very well. Thank you for the invitation.
Excellent. So now, usually in New York, correct? But you're obviously residing in Colombia for health reasons, I would imagine, keeping your family safe and everything. How's it all going there?
Well, it was going better the last days, or the last months. But during the last days, we are arriving to the peak. As every country, I wish this will improve again. But yes, we are here. COVID found us here, and we just want the complete world to be safe and healthy again.
Fantastic. So look, you're probably one of the most active members of the emerging tech community in the AR/VR space. I've never seen one so active. It's congratulations on everything you're doing for the industry. Like us, we like to showcase and champion everyone, as many people as possible in the industry. But look, tell us about originally how you got into XR, and also, we were talking about before some of your education efforts that you've done personally, in particular the one in Massachusetts at the Institute of Tech, and you've had a political economics background as well. This is an interesting story. So could you share that with the viewers first?
Yeah, sure, Matt. My story is a story that for sure will be close to everybody's story in the next years, because change and long life learning is a big part of it. When I started my professional career, I started dreaming to be the president of Colombia, my native country. And my dream was to improve the quality of life of the people. Basically, I was dreaming with a better world. And that's why I started that. I never had a technical role model close to me. And I think that's why the inspiration was having enough power from the politics that was the world that I saw, maybe to really make changes, to build new realities. And I started there. I was working in anti-corruption for many years. Then I was chief of staff for a Colombian first lady. I was doing my task, really. The career was perfect for that, but I realized the power of private sector and the importance of real job creation. And that's why I trained myself with an MBA, so forth. And I ended up helping companies to land their investments in Colombia, foreign direct investment landing. And that was amazing because that opened my mind to two things more. One is the importance of training in the creation of any industry, how training and education is one of the musts for any and every industry. And the second thing, it opened my eyes to see how the world was bigger. It was not just Colombia. The complete world was, and of course, technology and communications were making that not simple, but at least possible. One day, back in 2013, a company, Senseta was the name, big data and artificial intelligence company from Silicon Valley, arrived to my office. And that was my first company, BCPartners. And they came they were acquiring a small Colombian company, and they were contracting my company to the merging process. And we started the merge. I was fascinated with the talent that was engaged with that company. And 6 months later, they offered me to be their global CEO. And that's how I ended up in technology, by the most weird and atypical roadmap. And when I entered in the technology world, and it's not today that we are talking about augmented artificial intelligence and big data as something regular. It was back in 2013. It was very early. And I realized the power of these technologies and data visualization. And I completely fell in love with technology. And that's how I jumped into technology. I was working with them around 2 years, and I resigned. That company wasn't mine, unfortunately. And there was a moment where you already give everything you can give, but the decision of switching my life to technology was already taken. And my husband was appointed to work in New York, and that's why we moved to New York. And when I arrived there and I was taking the decision about, well, what will be my next step, I found two people who were, one of those was friend of me since I was a child, Lucas Capaz. He lives in California also, and his background is in media. And the other guy I found is Tom Herman. Tom was 3 times client of my consulting company. He's a technical founder. He's a serial entrepreneur from the New York area. And I called both of them and I told them, guys, you know, I come from the data visualization for mapping, for GIS, geographical information located in the maps, in the reality. And I can envision how immersive technologies at that time, virtual reality, 360 content, will be the game. And I want to win that game, and I want to be partner with you. And these are my co-founders. How is that we founded XR Americas?
Fantastic. So I know you've got a really big focus in training and education. Of course, education is probably the hottest topic outside of finding a vaccine at the moment. You know, all the universities, colleges and schools are completely left out of the blue here and unprepared. I know you've got an enterprise focus as well for corporates, for corporate training. But before we get into that, you do specialize in spatial computing and also augmented humans. I wanted you to give the viewers an explanation of how you focus in on those items around XR.
Yes, Matt. Well, let's go to the basics again. What was my purpose? To build a better world. That was my main purpose since I started my career. And when I realized that training and education in the companies, in the enterprises, is big part of the population. I mean, more than 50% of the population works in the bottom level of the workforce in different industries. And the training for them is, they have a lot of accidents. Right now with COVID-19, we are realizing the power of essential workers. And of course, the complete model of education in the world needs to switch because, of course, there are two things that are happening. One is we are realizing that the world is changing and we need to use digital tools in a more wise way. But the second one is we can't keep educating the world, the students in the universities, the training for the work as we were training them since the Middle Age. Because the world is not the same. The world is completely different. Then all that background just to say that for us, the opportunity that spatial computing, and I will explain what it is right now, the opportunity that spatial computing, it means all these technologies making or building a digital world of content where users can interact for different activities. Let's say with augmented reality, how can I check a machine, the computer will recognize it, and I can have the manual of instructions here, or the assistance in the field remote. How this will change the world of work, but also how we must use this not to discuss how we are replacing humans by machines, but how we are taking the potential of humans, doing more humans, while we are using all these technologies to enhance our capabilities, our possibilities. Is like how we are building an augmented human. It means how we are having superpowers, even for the people in the bottom level of the workforce. Those who are usually just working, and if they have accidents, we don't care. No, how we are giving them the tools with technology to be more efficient, to be better, but also to be able to be more humans while the machines do what they are best at.
Oh, that was excellent. Thank you for explaining that to everybody for sure. Look, tell us more about the industry. I mean, where you are in Colombia or in South America, how is the AR/VR communities in that, area of the world? And I know we were talking about, Hispanic Month is coming up on September 15 as well. Is XR part of that promotion that you're driving, I think you were saying? Or tell us a little bit more about the local markets and the opportunities where you are. I know you're more based in America, but, what have you seen now that you're back there?
Well, Matt, there are like 2 or 3 main differences. One of those is bandwidth and connectivity. Of course, the level of connectivity that you have in many countries and many towns in Latin America is not what you have in New York City or Los Angeles. And when you are processing images, you are creating these big assets. I mean, video, 360 video. Let's get back to the simplest one. When you are processing that computer, you are using a lot of bandwidth. And that's already a restriction that we have here. I mean, building with images, with photos, a 3D model of a machine and processing it will take me some hours in New York, while it will take me half a day or a day here in Colombia. And I'm in Bogota. I'm in a very well-connected city compared with many others. Then that's a very big restriction. What we have, the other 2 factors that we have are 2 potential very good points. One of those is talent, creativity. Latin American people was solving problems with less tools and less resources during a lot of years. And we were having very big problems that we were solving in a more creative way. I really think that if we can convert that into companies, into solutions, we can build an amazing ecosystem that could be useful for the entire world. That's a positive thing. But the third thing that we have in a really interesting way is the mix between Hispanic talent in the US and Hispanic talent in Latin America. Why? Because if we join forces, we can be like the 7th biggest economy of the world. It means that we can have an amazing workforce, very young. We still have an average of age that is lower than any other demographic in the US. And of course, that could bring a very big opportunity, not only for Latin America itself, but for US companies and investors. And that's where I want to help and be useful. How we can really create a network of talent in XR. And when we are talking, you and I know, and I want to share with the audience, when we are talking about XR talent, we are talking about a huge diversity of talent, because there should be designers, creative people, producers, but also developers, data scientists. And that's an amazing industry that, from my perspective, will be the future of communications and education for sure. But education in the near future will be a communication system. I think so.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And look, tell us about some of the support networks you're involved in before we get into some of your training case studies here in a moment. I know one's you're a member of the WXR Fund. You've been involved in the Y Combinator. There's also the Hispanic Star Alliance. Can you tell us a little bit more around what they can offer? And you're also a pitch advisor for South by Southwest. I know there's a lot there, but what are some of the highlights from those memberships, and how can people maybe even apply to some of those?
That's a great point. Well, I really believe in the power of networks. Why? Because we are better together. The solving things, building companies is hard. I mean, it's not an easy task. Then when we are working together and we have networks of smart people, there is a friend who says that we are the average of the 5 people with the ones we are sharing more time. Then what I'm trying is just to be with people smarter than me every time, trying to join forces to create more. Then we had the privilege to be part of the 4.0 schools a scholarship. We were part of the WXR fund, and we are, even when we were in the second cohort, I'm talking and I'm trying to support all the new generations there, because of course that's the only way how we can build a better ecosystem, better industry. Also part of Dreamers Doers. You know, you and I met because of started the tech hub in the city of New York. And I really think that when we are building networks to really support each other, I mean, to really add value to the others, we have more tools than many others. You know, with South by Southwest, I was invited. It was a privilege, a very, very weird privilege, and I will let you know why. Because I was invited to be part of the advisory board in the pitch for 2020. The amazing part is I did the first part. We were receiving a lot of projects and we were evaluating them. I evaluate more than 80 projects in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, and I will comment you what I saw, because this world has smart people, and that's an amazing thing. But the weird part is that this year, because of COVID-19, South by Southwest was canceled like 3 days before the event. What I think is we missed the in-person event, but of course, having the possibility to evaluate and read all these projects before the COVID-19 gave me the faith to have an amazing COVID and say, well, this thing's happening and it's not that good, but the world has amazing people building tools, building solutions, and is a moment to help and support others. And that's like how I use networks and how I belong to networks. I think that I have the privilege to learn quick, be intense enough to make the things to happen. And if I can add value to many others, younger ones or communities where I can add value. The Hispanic Star Alliance, Claudia Romo Edelman, is building this amazing, she's leading this amazing initiative to articulate and create the network of Hispanic talent, both in the corporate America and in the ecosystem of entrepreneurs. The Hispanic community is building companies 7 times faster than any other demographic all over the US. In the last years, this means a lot of money for the US. Around 86% of the jobs created since the Great Recession were created by Hispanics. What means that we are really a very big force for the economy of the US. And nobody knows that because we were not telling that aloud. Then if you ask me why I'm involved in that initiative, well, because I'm proud and because I think it has a very good economic value for everybody.
Fantastic comments. So let's get stuck into some of the development that you've been up to over the last, few years inside of the education and training side. So, what examples can we have a chat about? Where would you want to start?
Well, I really think that one of the interesting things, how we can reduce the accidents in processes like we were working with utility people in energy and electricity. All the people maintaining the electric grid is having a lot of accidents. The accidents are happening all the time. The cost of it is very high. And finally, around 80% of the workforce in the electricity industry is going to be retired in the next 6 years. It means training is a must. The change of technologies from regular electricity or energy to renewable requires a lot of new training. And of course, avoiding accidents is a must. Then we were developing some contents. And I will jump with examples. I will jump through the stages that we as a company were having. First, we were working with the content, understanding the interaction between the user and the content, and how and I will explain a little bit more the example. It was a virtual reality content. It means the person uses the headset with all the training material and then jumps to the exercises to verify that the person really learned the process. Let's say you need to deactivate this, whatever, and then we jump into the test. What is the thing that you need to deactivate if you are doing X, Y, Z? And when we are tracking the movement of the person and the eye gaze to see if the person was paying attention or not, and the levels of retention of that training, it is going around 80% better than in real life training, because the distraction is not anymore there. And you can be training at home. What means for today's world, with social distancing, is a very efficient tool. The second example is we were jumping into the world of software, because of course, content creation, you know that, doesn't scale. I mean, it will scale easier in the future, but it's not, I mean, you need to create the content for each company in those places, because the procedures that each company has are not necessarily the same. Then we were jumping into a software, seeing how we can integrate the content that everybody is creating inside of a company into this interaction between the content in virtual reality for training and the support or assistance in the field with augmented reality. In a way that the content is the same, the process that you are learning and the process where you are working is the same, and by the data, you can start comparing results and improving one and the other. Okay, that was the second stage. Now with COVID-19, now that sales, I mean, we have a lack of sales right now because the market is in a completely different situation. Also, the headsets are sold out. Then we were thinking during the first months how we will take advantage of the COVID-19, because, you know, I can't stay in the negative things. I'm a person of, the negative gives me challenges. And what we decided is just to jump into the software, but from the side of the analytics, how we can scale and we are doing 2 prototypes that we will have ready for December. These are just under prototyping. But the result is very interesting because it's how we can use micro data tagging in 360, using the virtual reality content and scaling that into the real world in augmented reality. It means it's like the second thing that we were doing, but not based in the content, but in the image recognition from the side of the computer that we are using. Right now, we are using Oculus, Quest as headsets, and mobile phone as for augmented reality. And you know, we are moving from there very soon. We are expecting for the next classes.
I tell you what, you know, interesting. The retention rates, I think you touched on, is quite important, isn't it? Really, that is key. But you were saying that, did you say 80% better retention rates, which is astonishing, really? What did that?
Process is more because when you are involving a physical movement in the training and not just seeing a flat video or an instructor doing the thing, but you are doing it actually. Yeah. That's why the improvement is that high.
Did you have a study compared to just using augmented reality through iPads or iPhones compared to VR? Is there a different engagement rate there?
I really think no. There is no. This is part of what we are doing, a user survey to understand the data right now with the prototypes that we are doing. But I really think that today, virtual reality and augmented reality are complementary, because with one you can accomplish some things, with the other things, but they will converge. You and I know that in the next 2-3 years they will converge. There will be just a visualization tool for a digital world case in the real world. That's what that will be. We are just in an early moment.
That's what I wanted to finish up on here, is the future, particularly using smart glasses, and what your opinion is on how that's going to affect us, not only in business, but the opportunity as a consumer and entertainment and training. And it's, like my glasses, Apple, well, my wish is to have a 4K viewing experience and digital overlays where I can shop, where I can get my Google Maps potential. It won't be Google Maps on that particular device, or maybe, but whatever it is, your emails, your phone calls, using AI, using voice control. Where do you see the big advantages of smart glasses? And I hope it's coming sooner rather than later, because there is quite a few out on the market now, but it's not the sort of thing you can walk down the street in yet.
Well, I'm all into this technology. I mean, I really think the world is our brain, our real brain works 360. I mean, we see the world all over, and it's not natural to be in a flat screen. It's not natural to have this glass square in our hands all day long. Then what I really think is that the technology is finally arriving to the point, or the technologies, because are many, are optics, all the processing capacity. There are many involved technologies, but the interesting thing is glasses. My personal vision is we will be using regular glasses or just eye lenses to interact with the world. The interface will be the world itself, our movement. And basically, with the Internet of Things that is already installed, plus the wearables, plus all this, we can start having a really good interpretation of the world, because it's what computers do. They don't see the world as we see it. They just create a sense, make sense from those data points, and create an environment and a reality. And as we are using it, they will improve. That's why artificial intelligence plays a really important game here. What are the biggest challenges right now? One, I think standards. And I really think the need of a standard to have everything talking really with the other systems is very important. And 3 weeks ago, the conversation started to evolve, because of course this COVID-19 made everybody to realize that we can't keep postponing this. We need it. If we were having this industry already mature, we will have the world fully productive and not stop as it is right now. And also the 5G implementation, from my point of view, is really important, because of course the capacity of the bandwidth, the possibility to have near real-time situations, all that will improve the situation of interaction with the world. And if you see, there are two facts that for me, or three, that for me are very important. One is how Google is doing research around all the topics of recognition of movements. How when I have a watch and I'm doing this movement, the watch recognizes that I'm moving the switch. The second one is how Apple is filling a lot of patents in the last weeks and months. It's amazing how they are moving very fast. They are integrating technologies like LiDAR. LiDAR is not new, but of course the use for daily use or for regular users is not commercial yet. Then how they are switching that's a second fact. And the third fact is how the conversation around data privacy is finally going from privacy to ethical interaction. For me, our data will be like a currency that we can exchange in terms of having more benefits. Of course, how you are protecting in an ethical way that ecosystem or that interaction, that will be very important. But of course, is where we are. We need good people building good technology to ensure that we are improving the world.
That's a great wrap up, Rosario. And look, really excited to talk to you today, and thanks for all your thought-provoking comments on the different markets and the opportunities here. Look, where can someone best find you on LinkedIn and also the company? Can you give yourself a shout out?
XR Americas everywhere. If you find VR Americas, we were VR Americas, but we are more mature now. And Rosario, be Casas everywhere, in every social network. I am easy to find. I do noise.
Rosario, I thought I was a great networker, but you definitely are up on the scale, top of the scales there. So, hey, congratulations on all your work in the market, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you more and seeing what else you're going to be talking about in the future. So, look, once again, from LA to Colombia, thanks very much for your time today, and we shall speak to you soon.
Thank you, Matt. Amazing time. Thank you for the invitation again. Thank you.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.